ILS. This is pretty important. Yeah, so that's it. Let's get into the plane and see what we need to do there. All right, so now we are in the aircraft, and let's go through the steps of the initial powering on and setting things up before we turn on the engines. So first things first, let's go over here. Sure, the generators are on, the battery is on, and we put the avionics into dispatch. Once that is set, then we can request our flight plan, or rather request our IFR clearance.
Tower Bex Gaming Sierra Alpha Sierra 081 IFR to Castrop, ready to copy. Bex Gaming Sierra Alpha Sierra 081 is cleared to Castrop Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 27 climb and maintain 12,000 feet. Departure frequency is 119.4 Bex Gaming Sierra Alpha Sierra 081 cleared to Castrop Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 27 climb and maintain 12,000 feet. Departure on 119.4 Bex Gaming Sierra Alpha Sierra 081 read back correct. Contact ground on 119.0. Good day.
All right, with that now being cleared, I can then turn on my engines. So to do that, I click these two. There's a sequence again, but I'm not following that today. I'm waiting for the N2 to get to 20, and then I'm going to push the run button. So 20 and 20, so let's turn on the engines. And now we are getting some power, so we can set the avionics to on. So what we can do now, we can go back and see what we were told here. So we were told that we needed to climb to 12,000 feet. So what we're going to do is go over here to the altitude button, and then we're going to turn that up to 12,000 as indicated here. I prefer to use vertical speed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up as well. I'm going to give us a approximately 2,000 feet per minute climb, which is indicated here. So now this is armed, so when I turn on the autopilot, it's gonna start climbing. What I also would like to do is arm the navigation mode. This means that once I turn on the autopilot, then it will follow the flight plan as already programmed into the computer. With that in place now, then we can turn our attention to get out and do our takeoff. So now we are approaching the runway for our takeoff. So we're going to do a few additional things. We're going to set 1 notch of flaps. And yeah, I think then I always double check, have I set my initial altitude? Yes. Climb? Yes. And the navigation system is enabled. So yeah, now we can request our clearance and go out and do a straight departure.
Ready for departure IFR to Castro. Bex Gaming Sierra Alpha Sierra 081 QNH29.9 2 wind 267 at 7. Cleared for takeoff runway 27. Cleared for takeoff runway 27 Bex Gaming Sierra Alpha Sierra 081.
And we got a QNH of 2992, but that is already set, and I think it's not the standard, but the default one I think it is. So no need to change that. We'll get a new one at some point. And yeah, we're ready to go. So line up and throttle up. So that is positive climb, I think. Yeah. So gear up. Watching the speed, this is quite a powerful jet, so don't want to go above 250. And flaps up. So flaps is up, and let's enable our autopilot. There we go, autopilot enabled. And we're gonna manage the handoff. So autopilot is on, we're in our climb, and we are gonna turn around and follow this navigation path. Throttling back a little bit so we don't go above 50 at this point.
Copenhagen Center Bex Gaming Sierra Alpha Sierra 081 is passing 2,500 feet, climbing 12,000 feet. Bex Gaming Sierra Alpha Sierra 081 Copenhagen Center QNH29er.9er to continue to by 364 as planned.
Okay, so we are set. Now it's just a matter of following the direction from ATC for the most part, which means if they tell you you need to reduce the speed or something like that, or change your altitude, then you follow those instructions. So yeah, once we're in the cruise, we'll go on to the next steps. So now we have reached our cruising altitude of 12,000 feet. Here, I'm going a little fast, but that's fine. So there's only one other step I prepare before going into my descent. And that is to ensure that the setup for the radio frequencies are for the ILS capture, the ILS frequencies, so we can do our capture the glide slope if they are set. So go to radio tuning, and lo and behold, there's nothing here. So what I'm looking for is this nav1. So this is where I would expect a radio frequency for the ILS to be set up, but it's not. If this is not set, or it's set incorrectly, you'll not be able to capture the glide slope. I know this happens every once in a while, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to type it in manually. Always look, when I'm going to a new airport, I look these up on the internet. You can just Google the airport identifier and ILS frequencies, and you can usually find a place where they show you what they are. So we're going into runway 04 left, and the frequency for that is 110.5. So 0.5, and then click here, and that's it. That's actually all you need to do. In some aircraft, you will see that you get some kind of response as well, that it says what runway it is, but not in this one. But that's it. We are now set up to be able to capture the ILS frequency. That's set, so we can capture the glide slope going into runway 04 left. And now it's just a matter of then following the instructions from ATC. They might want you to do altitude changes or something like that. One thing I would like to keep in mind when I'm flying is that they're not always great at getting you down to an altitude where you can capture the glide slope in time. It's a thing in the game that comes and goes a little bit. Sometimes they're good at it, sometimes they're terrible and just don't do it. So I always take good care to ensure that I get to somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 feet in good time. So I'm there when I reach this part here. So when I'm going into this bed here, I already need to be at about 3,000 feet. So when I'm going into that straight line there. So yeah, at some point, gotta make a judgment call and then descent, even though ATC will complain when you do that. But yeah, next time, the next thing we need to do is look at the setup once we have descended and we are getting ready to capture this glide slope and prepare ourselves for that. Now, this time what happened is that they actually asked me to reduce my altitude in good time. So they asked me to go to 3,000 feet, which is what I'm gonna do now. So looking for the indication here and turning here. So as you can see, they're actually in pretty good, decent time. They asked me to go to 3,000 feet. So that is pretty good. So yeah. Next step is to, yeah, once I'm about here, to set up for the landing. Okay, so now we are approaching the airport. So what I'll go and make sure that I get my localizer. So one click here, you see it says localizer 1. And that is the information that is coming from the radio beacon that we set up the frequency for. So this 110.5.
Gaming Sierra Alpha Sierra 081, you are 17 miles southwest of Kastrup. Contact Kastrup Tower on 118.1 inbound.
What we will also see is we can see the glide slope indicator is up here, so that's fine. It means that it is above us, and this is exactly what we would like to achieve.
Tower on 118.1 Bex Gaming Sierra Alpha Sierra 081. Kastrup Tower Bex Gaming Sierra Alpha Sierra 081, 14 miles southwest inbound ILS runway 4 left approach.
Bex Gaming Sierra Alpha Sierra 081 Kastrup Tower. QNH 29.9er, 2.266 at 7. Cleared ILS, runway 4 left approach.
Okay, so now I want to turn on the approach mode. That enables the aircraft to capture the glide slope. It's coming down now. And what we will see is that the aircraft will start to descend along with it. There you go. It's capturing the glide slope and it is descending. That's what we wanted to achieve. I'm also idling my throttle to reduce my speed. I was going quite fast, so that is reducing now. We have the runway out here in front of us. So yeah, now it's a matter of the last preparations we need to do. So let me acknowledge that.
ILS runway 4 left approach Bex Gaming Sierra Alpha Sierra 081.
So let's reduce the speed even faster. I think I'm coming in too fast, but let me see if we can reduce it even faster. We can. So let's see, so that's a lot faster. So what I would like to achieve is approximately, yeah, around here. So let's turn off the speed brakes and see where we end up. So 140, so I'll set 1 notch of flaps. And at this point I can also set my landing gear. So yeah, reduce speed as needed, set the flaps as needed, enable the approach mode, we've done that. And if there's an auto brake on the plane, we can set that as well. The gear is down and we are in the glide slope. So what's gonna happen next is I'm gonna idle my engines when I'm about to touch down and I'm in my flare. And then I'm gonna brake as soon as I have touched down, and then extend the spoilers to reduce my speed even further. So now it's coming up on the landing.
Sierra Alpha Sierra 081 wind 266 at 7. Clear to land runway 4 left.
So that is my landing clearance.
Cleared to land runway 4 left. Vex Gaming Sierra Alpha Sierra 081.
I'm also noticing that I was a bit below the glide slope, which means I was probably going a little bit too slow. So I just throttled up ever so slightly. I can also extend an additional level of flaps to give myself more lift at lower speeds. That's the outer marker, and I am at about 120 knots. And I'm gonna turn off the autopilot when I'm about 500 or 600 feet. There goes 500. So I'm going to turn off the autopilot. It seems I'm a little bit to the right, so I'm gonna amend that. Still trying to adhere to the glide slope. Almost at stall, so I'm gonna throttle up. I'm a little high, but it's a long runway, so it's fine. Okay, idle my throttle. And brake. Nose down. And spoilers. And I'm stopped almost. So that was a very, very quick stop. Actually, very, very quick. Okay. I guess that is pretty much it for the landing. So the setup from cold and dark, takeoff, cruising and landing using the ILS systems pretty much